Hey, this is Redrel, otherwise known as the Geek Bear at Large, and today I am reviewing another ZD Toys figure. Now, I have since the previous video done a little bit of research on ZD Toys and kind of learned a lot more about what they do. Now, apparently they are the official or an official distributor of Marvel action, or I guess producer, I should say, not necessarily distributor, of action figures officially licensed by Disney and Marvel. So these are not knockoffs or bootlegs; these are legitimate, which kind of surprised me a little bit because, well, if you look at something like this, it kind of looks like it might be a bootleg. I'm not quite sure, but generally, no, these are legitimate, which means they probably have some sort of quality control and things like that. But I do know they're actually not really supposed to leave China all that often. They're ZD Toys does not have a global license, more they have a Chinese license, from what I understand. Now, of course, they do get exported. I live in South Korea, and these did show up here and are actually quite common here. But to be honest, they're actually kind of easier to acquire. At least these ones are easier to get and cheaper to get than the Marvel Legends. Marvel Legends is actually harder to get, even though Hasbro does have a presence in Korea and does sell them in Korea. It's harder to get a lot of the more in-demand figures, at least at a relatively decent price. And don't get me started on the Star Wars Black Series, because that is a nightmare to get a hold of, and almost nothing shows up in Korea at all anymore. But anyway, yeah, this is Vision. I decided to pick him up because, I've been, wanting to check out WandaVision. I haven't seen it yet, but, I've heard great things about it, and, I like the character, I like the design of the character, so I thought, pick it up. But if we take a look at the box, we've got just some Chinese here, and, yeah, ZD Toys Marvel QR code, everything else. Take a look at the back. This looks like a painting, not a picture, even though it's supposed to somewhat resemble a picture. It's just too drawn on. You can see that especially in Iron Man here, and with, I don't exactly know who that's supposed to be, but anyway, it is from the Civil War. And yeah, we just got not much to say, just some stuff, recycling, all that jazz. So we'll cut here and jump back when we take a look at the figure once it's open. So here's everything that the box comes with. Now, I don't think I've almost ever seen a figure with so few accessories, or so few of really anything. Because, I mean, even the Toy Biz Spider-Man from 20 years ago, it came with a pin and a web parachute, and that was, that was something. But this comes with a stand. Comes with the cape, which, I mean, it's Vision, so it should come with a cape, and the stand. Alright. Now, to comment on the stand first, because I know a lot of people do like to buy stands and stuff of their figures. It's loose. It's a very loose stand. Now, it is basically a copy of the Bandai stands. If I were to pull a Bandai stand off, I have away from here. If I pull that one off here, you can take a look at them. Pull this off to the side just a little bit. You can take a look. They're basically the same with that kind of grid formation and the three kind of prong here. Now, there is some differences, of course. It's not the exact same design, but a very similar design. Although I will say that the one by Bandai is much more superior, and you do build it yourself. These are, to give this one some credit, the stand I did for the ZD Toys Iron Man was actually worse than this one. Because that one has, I believe, some hard bolts in it that can't be tightened. These ones, I should be able to tighten the bolts on these and make them better. And these are a little bit of a chunkier plastic than the ones on Bandai. So it means they're probably less likely to snap in half, but they are very, very loose, which makes me a little insecure about keeping it up. Plus, I don't know how the figure's supposed to work if you've got him tied, pinned up here, And you're supposed to kind of get the cape on. Is the cape going to go like... Yeah, I don't know how they expect you to do that. I really don't know. Maybe it's supposed to be down and you're supposed to be flying. I'm not really sure. But anyway, let's take a look at the figure itself. Now, I'm going to first talk about some of the details. It's good. It's fine. It's perfectly acceptable of a figure for the price that you pay for it. Generally, these are cheaper than the overall ones by the Marvel Legends series. Now, they probably are cheaper in China than they are in Korea. You know, importation taxes and all that stuff can kind of raise the price. But overall, the detail's not bad. It's somewhere, I would say, kind of halfway between Marvel Legends and the Mattel Justice League series, which we reviewed before, which was not that great. It was not great. It just wasn't that great. So, you know, this is obviously a step up from that Mattel series, but kind of a step down from the, you know, the Marvel Legends line. Now, one of the things that kind of creeps me out is the eyes. Now, if I can kind of zoom in up here, get it really close, you can see what I mean. His eyes just look creepy. That's all. Now, this may be him as a character. I don't know. But it kind of feels like he's watching me, which is not really what I want an action figure to do. But moving on, if we take a look at the articulation, the arms don't go up the arms go up here just by regular pressure. You can sort of get them up higher, but I don't really trust it. I think it comes down to the actual joint here, this joint just not being too big. So it's just that armor piece gets in the way. And any more, then I feel I'm starting to bend the joints. So it's the same here, although I think to a much lesser degree. In terms of the arm articulation, if we move him over, he is kind of got that double joint, which means he can fully do that on both arms. Hand articulation, none. None, no articulation at all. And they don't come with replacement hands, even though it looks like this one could. It does seem it has a slot in there that could have them removable. So they could decide to, you know, have a higher quality one in the future, and they make replaceable hands and use the same base, you know. In terms of the head articulation, a little bit up, a little bit down, not much. Stomach, it's on a ball joint, so, you know, perfectly tilts, but doesn't really have a lot of crunch. Not much, but it does do better in the back, so if you want to have a more flying posture, he's got you covered for that one. Leg articulation, it's kind of that V joint here, so these spread out pretty wildly. I did notice that there is some movement in the articulation that can be like, you can push them up or you put down, which down might have more straightforward articulation, but again, that feels very loose now. That does not feel very good. So I don't know if that's necessarily true. And I'm looking at it now, and this seems to cause some damage at this joint here, if you can see. This was not normal. These don't work well together, these two plastics. It's a very... This piece here seems very soft. Like, it's not a super durable plastic. These already have scraping marks in them. So, and especially around here, these are softer, and this is a harder plastic compared to this. You can even tell just by sound. So, be careful. I didn't notice that until now. I wish I had noticed that, because that basically, I know I caused it when doing that, so I have to be a little bit more careful. But also now his foot, his leg is very, very loose. They're both very loose now. Yeah, very, very loose. In terms of leg articulation, ooh, that just comes out pretty wide pretty quickly. Yeah, they do bend back, you know, pretty close to, you know, hitting the back, so, you know, pretty decent. And if we look at the foot articulation, a little bit of swivel, not much up and down, but there is some swivel there. So that's actually good for display purposes. And there is some texture on the bottom, but not by much. So slight amount of texture and kind of grip on the bottom. So that should work out pretty well. Now, if we take a look at the cape, can we get the cape in? The cape is kind of a soft rubber material, which makes it very flexible. And it's actually quite a nice cape. I will say that. I do like the cape here. It is relatively well detailed, and there is some of that, kind of those red marks here, that does help him stand out. Now, to kind of give a summary on this figure, I don't advise picking one up. It's not that it's bad. It's not bad. It's just not good. It's not worth it. If you're not, if you see it at a store for a few bucks, when you're not really ordering one specifically, then you go, okay, fine, grab it. But don't go out of your way to order one of these unless you really, really, really need a Vision or another one of the ZD toys in your collection. I will be reviewing some of the other ones because I've seen other ones come out, and I want to get some of the other Iron Mans because they're actually quite nice. I wouldn't recommend these. They are in line with the Marvel Legends line. I have Thor off to the side. Now, Thor and Vision in the movies are supposed to be about the same height. Both Chris Hemsworth and Paul Bettany, I think that's his name, who plays Vision, are around the same height. And in here, they're about, similar. So I'm going to say it does fit into a Marvel Selects line, or Marvel Legends. What am I saying? Marvel Selects is the 12-inch line there. But overall, I can't recommend it. It's got durability problems, as you can see. Now there's this permanent, marks on the plastic here, and that was just done during the review. As we were, fiddling around with it, it got damaged. And it's just, yeah. I mean, I'll review the other ones because, I'm a content creator and I want to see if they do get better from here. Maybe Vision's just, a rare, a kind of a rare one that isn't very good. I'm not quite sure. So, yeah. I don't know what to say. I'm kind of disappointed in this, and I wish it was better, but I'm not that surprised because most people thought of these as bootlegs anyway. But in saying that, thank you for watching. If you like the content, please like and subscribe for more, and I'll be doing, much more geek, nerdy, all that kind of content. And you can also follow me on Instagram at GeekBearAtLarge, all one word. So thank you so much for watching, and have a fantastic day.